ending question 25 today on the power of God. It's over. It's done. And we're moving to question 26 tomorrow, divine beatitude. That should be interesting since it applies to our future. Should you be so wise as to accept God's gracious gift through Christ? The beatitude. But right now we're still on the power of God, just letting that reality circle and move in our hearts as we study these things. Let's go with the end of the page yesterday, running into the beginning of this page, and it's a short page today. How nice. Article 6 from question 25. Whether God can do better than what he does. Whether God can do better than what he does. Objection 2. Further, Augustine thus argues, if God could but would not beget a son, his equal, he would have been envious. That is Augustine. For the same reason, if God would have made better things than he has done, but was not willing to do so, he would have been envious. But envy is far removed from God. Therefore, God makes everything of the best. He cannot therefore make anything better than he does. If God could, but would not beget a son his equal, he would have been envious. Not sure exactly what Augustine is getting at there. Let's see if Thomas clarifies some things. Objection 3, starting at the beginning of the page, 283, if you have this book. Objection 3. Further, what is very good and the best of all cannot be bettered, because nothing is better than the best. But as Augustine says, each thing that God has made is good, and taken all together they are very good, tov meod, because in them all consists the wondrous beauty of the universe. Therefore, the good in the universe could not be made better by God. That's an objection. Let's hear the fourth objection, and then we'll hear Thomas's answers. Objection 4. Further, Christ, as man, is full of grace and truth, and has the Spirit without measure, and so he cannot be better. Again, created happiness is described as the highest good, and thus cannot be better. And the Blessed Virgin Mary is raised above all the choirs of angels, and so cannot be better than she is. God cannot, therefore, make all things better than he has made them. Let's hear how Thomas, that's a pretty good question. Let's hear how Thomas deals with objection 4. Coming up, as soon as we flip this page, folks, hold tight. Thomas, on the contrary, says, it is said in Ephesians 3:20, God is able to do all things more abundantly than we desire or understand. Well, now we're in human perspective, so let's see what Thomas has to say with his respondio. The goodness of anything is twofold. Thomas always with the twofold, and otherfold sometimes. One, which is of the essence of it. So, goodness of anything is twofold. One is the essence of the thing. Thus, for instance, to be rational pertains to the essence of man, and that is a good thing. We have the ability to be rational. As regards this good, God cannot make a thing better than it is itself, although he can make another thing better than it, even as he cannot make the number 4 greater than it is, because if it were greater, it would no longer be 4. That's a very good way of talking about the contradictions I was talking about earlier, and if God can win a chess game if he only has the king, etc. Where was I? Probably should use this thing. That's what it's for. As regards good, God cannot make a thing better than it is itself, although he can make another thing better than it, even if he cannot make just as he cannot make the number 4 greater than it is, because if it were greater, it would no longer be 4, but another number. For the addition of a substantial difference in definitions is after the manner of the addition of unity of numbers. For the addition of a substantial difference in definitions, once you start changing the definition of something, like making man intellect, changing that, taking away intellect or something, it no longer is under the definition of man. Or 4. You change 4 to 4.5 or 4 to 5, then it's no longer 4. What will be interesting is a question, though, regarding the changing of human nature in the divine theosis. Aren't we kind of changing numbers? Aren't we kind of changing? No, we'll save that for another question for another time. Another kind of goodness is that which is over and above the essence. Thus, the good of a man is to be virtuous or wise. As regards this kind of goodness, God can make better the things he has made. Absolutely speaking, however, God can make something else better than each thing made by him. Again, that's why this is the Daily Summa, and that's why this is clearly stated by St. Thomas as a catechesis for beginners. We cannot go into the murky depths or the illuminating brightness of the heights of all of these questions. Reply to objection 1. I'm eager to get to reply to objection 4, honestly. When it is said that God can make a thing better than he makes it, if better is taken substantively, I'm just thinking of a friend of mine who I have a joke with on the word saponification. And that made me think of them laughing at this. This proposition is true. If better is taken substantively, this proposition is true of the substance. Then if we're talking about the substance, then this is true. For he can always make something else better than each individual thing. And he can make the same thing in one way better than it is, and in another way not, as was explained above. If, however, better is taken as an adverb implying the manner of the making, thus God cannot make anything better than he makes it, because he cannot make it from greater wisdom and goodness. Better being, he did it as he saw fit. There's no one else who can do it better. That's probably the best way to explain what he's saying. There's no one else who can do it better. As he determined to make it, that is how it is made, and it is tov meod, very good. But if it implies the manner of the thing done, he can make something better, because he can give to things made by him a better manner of existence as regards the accidents, although not as regards the substance. That's what he's going to say about the divinization question. We are not turned in substantially. Our substance is not changed. We are still human, but we're sharing in the divine nature. We are not divine by essence. Nothing is. It's almost blasphemous to say it. Reply to objection 2. It is of the nature of his Son that he should be equal to his Father when he comes to maturity, but it is not the nature of anything created that it should be better than it was made by God. Hence, the comparison fails. When it says that the boy becomes better or the same as the Father, what does it say? Nature of the Son that he should be equal to his Father. He means equal as nature. He has a full, perfect, as Aristotle would use the term, perfect human nature now, because he's fully grown and come to his full stature, his full perfect stature. Reply to objection 3. The universe, the present creation being supposed, cannot be better, on account of the most beautiful order given to things by God, in which the good of the universe consists. For if any one thing were bettered, the proportion of order would be destroyed. As if one string were stretched much tighter than it ought to be, the melody of the harp would be destroyed. There's a lot of presuppositions in that statement with Thomas. And he's also not talking about the fall of man, even though the fall of man was part of the redemptive process. Oh, happy fall, unnecessary sin of Adam, etc. Again, we could go deeper into it, but that's not what we're doing here. We're just daily reflecting on these things and letting them wash over our hearts to meditate on our beloved. Yet God could make other things or add something to the present creation, and then there would be another and a better universe. Very interesting. Reply to objection 4, the humanity of Mashiach, the humanity of Christ, from the fact that it is united to the Godhead and created happiness from the fact that it is the fruition of God, and the Blessed Virgin from the fact that she is the Mother of God, have all a certain infinite dignity from the infinite good which God is. And on this account, there cannot be anything better than these, just as there cannot be anything better than God. He's using his language very carefully here. The Blessed Virgin, from the fact that she is the mother of God, from the fact that it's proximity to God is what makes someone blessed, is essentially what's being said here. There is no greatness in Blessed Virgin's essential nature except that which is given over by God and proximity to God. And she also, Christ is called full of grace, and the only one, wouldn't you know it, also called full of grace, the Blessed Virgin Mary. The angel Gabriel says, "Hail, full of grace." That's why the church has always taught that she was without sin. She was full of grace. There was no place for lack of grace to be. And then that was changed about 500 years ago by a guy who didn't understand what he was talking about. It's quite sad. All right, guys, this is all straw. Go pray and enjoy your Ash Wednesday. Go get your ashes. Pray. We begin this Lenten journey through the desert. Let's see how it goes, guys. I'll see you on the other side of this desert on the octave. 8 days of feasting for Easter.